You know, if you've listened to the show for the past couple of months, you've probably heard Stephen Brent refer on several occasions as to how Edward Rogers has quietly started to increase his engagement in the day-to-day activities of the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, you've heard Brent talk about the friendship, personal and professional, between Edward Rogers and Mark Shapiro. And our feelings that having the kind of frank, open relationship that doesn't necessarily require a full-fledged board meeting to deal with every issue is an asset in decision-making, which brings us to the signing of Jose Bautista, finally, to a one-year contract with a couple of options that could take its total value to $60 million over 3 years. Options that, let's face it, options that are only going to be exercised if Bautista has a monster year and the team goes to the World Series. It's a bottom line. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how this is spun, because here are the facts. It was only after trying and failing to sign Dexter Fowler and Edwin Encarnacion and kicking the tires on trades for Charlie Blackmon and Andrew McCutchen and probably a couple others that we don't know about, that the Jays realized, you know what, might be time to punt. The Bautista was better than nothing else. Bautista, for his part, traded in long-term security for short-term security, if you want to call it that, in a depressed market. Perhaps trying to copy Carlos Beltran, another older outfielder who has signed $97 million worth of short-term deals after the age of 35. Think about that. We're talking one-year deals, two-year deals. Carlos Beltran's made $97 million after the age of 35. And like Jose Bautista, there were a lot of concerns about whether or not he was wearing down. So, this is what I know about this. After seeing what the Washington Nationals gave up for Adam Eaton, I'd rather have Bautista than trade away Marcus Stroman or Vladdy Jr. in order to bring in somebody with less than 3 years control. I mean, I'll take the on-base percentage, if nothing else, and maybe hope that he becomes the 3-WAR player that a lot of projections think he can become. But what really makes me feel better about this deal is I'm hearing, and I trust the people I hear this from, that Edward Rogers gave Mark Shapiro additional money to get the Bautista deal done, knowing full well the team still needs to address the bullpen and backup catcher, effectively removing the last impediment to putting the Bautista contract to rest. And you know what? That jives with what I've heard elsewhere, that the Blue Jays' final payroll number is perhaps a little more fluid than most believe. I'm not talking $20, $25, $30 million more fluid. But I'm talking an understanding that the spigot doesn't necessarily get turned off the second the first pitch of the regular season is thrown. And that comes down to the amount of personal trust between Shapiro and Rogers. Look, when Ted Rogers first entertained the idea of buying the Blue Jays, people around him pitched the notion that it was a way of putting a different face on a large corporation. Clearly a business case needed to be made, but there was something more at work, something that would allow Rogers to absorb the losses of the initial years of ownership. Look, to me, it's a story, frankly, that doesn't get told enough. Bottom line, this isn't the type of offseason I expected to see from the Blue Jays, or from Jose, or from Edwin, or from Mark Trumbers, from just about anybody. This is the type of offseason where a whole bunch of people have decided that going the route of Plan B or Plan C or Plan D or Plan E is better than not going down any route at all. It's better than not opening any door at all. But from what I'm hearing about ownership engagement this offseason, I'll tell you what, that part I like very, very much.